you throw in AI now, and it's like, oh, I can do a lot of stuff much faster, as well as maybe I don't have to prioritize or focus on this. The curious part, it's ongoing. Like you got to always be curious. And then again, if I can kind of expand, it's not just curious on the technology. One thing that I intentionally try to focus on, and I say intentional because some skills you naturally have, others you got to kind of work on.
Yep.
I think we know each other. I call myself a social introvert.
Right.
But one of the areas of curiosity is I think you also got to be curious about people. So you can go out, you can read a manual, you can go take a course, you can do all the enablement, but be curious about those people around you too. Like everyone's got a story.
Yeah. So Shea, the reports show that America, well, really the world needs at least 650,000 pilots in the next 20 years. But you said, hey, forget that number. I'm going in all in big tech. Do I have that clear?
Partially, yes. So I was interested in going the aviation route. Commercial pilot was the initial draw. Little change in health status, let's say that. Actually, so might not even, I don't think I even shared it with you. Had plans, so I'm a soccer player, avid soccer player. Got hit in the eye with the ball one time, kind of changed my vision in one eye, which kind of, because I was interested in becoming a pilot, but kind of due to that, pivoted out of sitting in the seat and doing more, navigation and kind of directing. So actually, I went to Hampton to become an air traffic controller.
Okay.
See that aviation computer science.
That alone is interesting, and we're going to get to that. I had to start off with that stat though, because as I was doing my research, I didn't even realize pilots were endangered species, and Shea is just kicking it in big tech. But before we get into all of that, let's just start with how we connected and how we met. As some of you all have read the book, The Invisible Interview. I talk about my 20 interviews to get my dream job at Salesforce. And it was the 15th interview when I was interviewing for business value, as I shared in the book, that I got that 15th no. And it was from Jessica Hood. And Jessica said, even though this is a no, let me connect you with the solution engineering team. And let's just see where that goes. So I'm just curious, one, is that something that happens in tech when we think about referral culture? But two, what was that conversation like with you and Jessica in the beginning when she's like, hey, there's this random guy from higher ed that's trying to jump in tech? Sort of what was your mindset and your approach to that conversation?
Yeah. So first, let me say thank you for telling your story. So I have read your book.
Thank you.
Of course, we've talked about it a number of times. We've had the pleasure of working together. And I say thank you because it's a real story. And there are a lot of people I talk to, and they're like, "Hey, how do I get in? I've interviewed for 2 roles, and they said no." And I'm like, "You're just getting started." Like, so I again, kudos and thank you for sharing your story. The backdrop with Jessica, Jessica and I were SEs at Salesforce together. So
Gotcha.
When, and I will say respected, hopefully she listens to it and agrees. We had a great working relationship, and, I think when you talk about referrals, a lot of times that what helps the process is to have someone who's worked in that space before. So she's a phenomenal SC, phenomenal partner while we worked together at Salesforce. So when she kind of came to me and was like, hey, I got this guy. Wasn't the right fit for her role, thankfully for me and for our team, because you came over to us. But she was like, I know what you look for in an SC, and this gentleman has all of those and some. So you definitely should take the time, have the conversation with him. So again, like I of course ensured that you got into the interview loop, because the reality is, again, we get thousands of applications. So we do have to kind of decipher. We can't talk to everyone. So with a connection like Jessica or referral, I was like, okay, this is someone I got to talk to. And again, everything worked out. And I don't know what number you were on when you came to us, but thankfully we ended that streak for you.
Thank you. And it was interview 16. First interview
16. There you go.
with the
There you go.
recruiter for SC. So yeah, I'm geeking out right now. I'm trying to keep us on task because you've already said a lot there. So my first question though is like, Shay, airplane, computer science to tech. First, let's talk about how we got there. But then I want to geek out a little bit about the world of solution engineering and what that is because I don't think a lot of people know.
Nope, that sounds good. Yeah, and the path's a little more linear than it might sound.
So it
So I
wasn't
did
just
attend.
check. It wasn't just do this and you get that.
I wish, I wish. And even, of course, I'd love to say that I kind of planned it all out and it worked just as I had planned and it mapped out perfectly and everything was hunky dory. But, I did it. I attended Hampton University. I was there as an Airway computer science major. So kind of some aviation, but you do hear the computer science part at the end. I've always loved technology. Always been like a dabbler, back to the Commodore 64 days when you write the little single line program and it loops around and it goes down. I know I just dated
He's
myself.
dating himself just a little bit, just a little bit.
Half the folks probably didn't even get that reference,
They
but
did not.
Google it.
We'll put
Use
something
a
on the
little
screen
AI,
for him. We'll put
figure out
something
what
on
it
the
is.
screen for him.
There you go. There you go. But I also love the concept of flying. So remote control or radio control planes. I always wanted to kind of in some ways be attached to that industry. So I actually went to Hampton with the goal of becoming an air traffic controller.
Gotcha.
While I was there, again, taking a lot of my aviation courses I won't say on the side because they were still required courses. I was able to kind of be integrated a bit in the CS program, computer science program. So I got to take some developer programs. I got to understand kind of the ins and outs of computer science and some of the requirements on that side. Probably during my junior year, there's a moratorium on hiring air traffic controllers. So in short, that meant they weren't hiring them.
How? Like, why though? I
So,
didn't even know that was
so
a thing.
a little different in having too many. And the place we're in now, where a lot of those people are retiring. So again, I
Gotcha.
probably just gave away my age. And if I had started when I got out of school, I'd probably be closer to the retirement side. So you kind of go through those waves. And
Yeah.
again, there are a finite number of airports and what's actually needed out there. So
Gotcha.
kind of keeping that in mind, and some of my experience on the computer science side or more on the tech side. My parents and I don't think they would have held me to it, but they were like, hey, you got 4 years. After that, go get a job, join the military, do something, you can't
Do
come home.
something.
Now, again, looking back, I like to think now they probably would have let me back home, but at the time I was like, yo, I got to figure this out.
Right.
So I kind of pivoted and went more to the tech side. I interviewed with a lot of tech companies, some of those that kind of cross the line. So if you're familiar with Lockheed Martin, they do a lot on the aviation side as well as computer science. So I
Yep.
kind of was talking to them. I talked to Oracle, which again is a database company, more on the pure tech side, and some others. And I was fortunate enough to land an opportunity with Oracle that, again, I learned a lot. I was able to grow and continue to dive deeper on the tech side. I will say now when I fly, I still know what the route they take to
Right.
land and take off, all the other good stuff. So I do have that background.
So
That
let me ask you, well, one, so if we fly and anything happens, I hear that, can you hop in? Or,
so according to my son's flight simulator, yes.
okay,
Now,
okay.
I've never actually flown a plane before.
But you're probably
But
better than half of the people
that's
on
it.
the plane other than the pilot in the event that there's an emergency.
That's it. Totally true.
Know that. So I'm curious, when you were first going through that Oracle, again, my mind is going a million places because now I'm just like, how was it interviewing for Oracle then, probably compared to how it's a little different now?
Yeah. So, and it's, the industry has changed a bit more too, right? So when you think about the core principles of a solution engineering role, and I can kind of share a little bit about those as well, are the same. So our goal is to paint a vision for our customers, and that allows them to actually see them, in this case, using our technology or the solution they recommend. We are part of the sales organization. So part of that having them see the vision is actually selling them on that vision.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of great technologies out there. It can be done a number of different ways. Part of the role of an SC is to partner with an account exec to really kind of hone in on that business value for our customers. So they're like, hey, this is a solution I need to purchase and invest in and kind of develop my long-term strategy around. But I will say, I mean, you kind of mentioned the kind of interesting landing at Oracle.
Yeah.
One part to kind of share though, like when I started at Oracle, and it was a kind of new graduate type program. I had biology majors in there. I had psychology majors in there. You have the traditional computer science engineering,
Yeah.
but a lot of them were more just as you were kind of saying, is like, can you tell that story? Can you paint that vision? Can you tie their requirements to a solution and, frame it in a way that they can consume it? So
Yeah.
I mine is a little unique, but I think the SC role has a number of paths that lead to it.
Yeah, I loved being an SE for a million reasons. One, and I write about this.
Probably leadership, right? When did leadership did you have?
It was leadership.
Okay, cool.
Definitely leadership. Definitely leadership. You and Baron, no, seriously, I kid you not. And I talk about this everywhere I go when you say this number one culture, and when you say, that your managers invested in you, I was like, yeah, like their job was to develop people full time. And because of that, we were all happy and then high performing and, hitting our goals. So I do think leadership is absolutely a large part of it. But what attracted me was one, the storytelling piece, because I love technology too. I wasn't playing around with what you was playing around with, but I did have a gateway computer, if that counts for anything. And I took apart my gateway computer, put it back together again. I was always coding. But the thought of being able to play, one, I feel like being an SC, you have to have a high level of curiosity, of just wanting to be curious daily. Can you talk a little bit about, and this kind of goes into my next part of the question, which is really around in the tech space now, one, how do you stay competitive in this current market? But then two, what skills do you feel are needed that are just transferable across industry? And I do feel like just hearing you talk about your early curiosity with planes, with tech, with science, and thinking about what the SE role is today is you really have to just naturally be curious about the what if. But I'm curious, what other skills are important that are transferable as you're thinking about people trying to stay competitive in tech or to jump in tech?
Yeah, if I can just kind of stay on that word curious for 1 second, because a lot, and I'm 100% with you, because like our growth and development, we're never done.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we could say, hey, get these last 3 certs and that's it.
Right.
The way, especially in technology, and it's any industry.
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Always.
And you throw in AI now, and it's like, oh, I can do a lot of stuff much faster.
Right.
As well as maybe I don't have to prioritize or focus on this. So the curious part, it's ongoing. Like, you got to always be curious. And then again, if I can kind of expand, it's not just curious on the technology.
Right.
One thing that I do intentionally try to focus on, and I say intentional because some skills you naturally have, others you got to kind of work on.
Yep.
I think we know each other. I call myself a social introvert.
Right.
But one of the areas of curiosity is I think you also got to be curious about people. So you can go out, you can read a manual, you can go take a course, you can do all the enablement, but be curious about those people around you too. Like, everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, kind of the nuggets and the gems you could take from someone else's story or path on how they did something. It could totally validate that what you were thinking is exactly right, or actually be counter to what your viewpoint is. And that's one thing I always, I ask a lot of questions, and again, I keep going back to it. We had the opportunity to work together. We still have a great friendship and connection now. I got my views on life, on how business should be run, but I always ask questions, and I'm willing to be convinced that what I'm thinking might not be I wouldn't even say not the right way. I'm kind of cocky. I'm not going to say the right. There are alternative ways. There are alternative ways to get to a similar or maybe even a better solution, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100% on the curiosity part, but sometimes the curiousness is not just learning a new technology or learning what's changing in an industry,
Yeah.
but also kind of being curious about other people's thoughts
Yeah.
and kind of how they come to them. So I kind of double down on the curious side there, and that's one of the things that I try to continue to lean in. But just kind of really quick, I'll kind of wrap up this one. But the skill side wise, again, being curious, always looking to innovate and challenge, right? Like things have been done for a number of years in certain ways. Ask the question why, and then look for those alternatives to kind of look to how do you enhance
Yeah.
that experience or operational process, whatever it might be.
Yeah, essentially how to make it better. And that was something kind of going to what you said earlier about it's not just about their credentials. But I will say it wasn't until I got to Salesforce. And again, I always describe my Salesforce experience as playing for the Lakers, of getting up at 5 a.m. like Kobe and being ready for the championship. And that's
Yeah.
sort of the culture that you all created for us. And, even to this day, the first hour of my day goes to skilling up. And that's something that
Yep.
you all taught us early on, like, hey, you're not going to know everything, but every day put 1% effort into learning something new, going to go meet somebody on the team, meeting someone in the company, or just go read an article about something you don't know. But whatever you do, make skilling up a daily thing. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is? And I think that also goes to the point around this is how you stay competitive. If you want to talk about staying competitive in a market, how much information are you consuming, but also able to tell the story of the information you consumed, connect the dots with the information you consume, but then execute on that information as well.
Yeah, and again, I got to go back to it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
And I dated myself a little earlier. I've had the fortune to I dropped one name. I got to drop another one. Sorry.
You're good.
Hopefully they send you a check. I now work for Salesforce, and I've been here now 14 years. And I will again date myself. For your generation, that's a really long time.
Yeah. That's
For
high school, college.
right, yeah. For my dad's generation, it's like, oh, you're halfway through your career.
Yeah.
You're halfway through it. You'll spend another 10, 15 years wherever you are, and then you'll be good. You'll get the nice Rolex watch, whatever they do at the 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? The reality is, and the job market, well, I want to say the job market, the industry today, and I'll say the opportunity is to continue to find that opportunity that challenges you. So again, I say 14 years here, a long time. So when I talk about the skilling up and the importance of it, it's preparation. So it's preparation for that new opportunity within the current organization you're in, or that new startup that opened up around the corner, or that new idea that popped into your head, right? Like, so it's always prepare, be ready, so you don't got to get ready.
Yep.
Type mindset. So it is very important. Like, even depending on the organization you're with, and again, I keep going back to our personal conversations, but I always got on you, and I'm like, hey, tell me what you did with your education reimbursement.
Yep.
Oh, you didn't spend it? Huh, tell me why. You think you know everything already? I didn't say it that way, but I could
You
have.
did. Don't front for the
It's for real. It's like,
Yeah.
and in some organizations, that's part of your benefits.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, invest in yourself, and I'll kind of throw the last part out there. It makes the world a little less scary,
That's real.
because if I'm always like, yo, I'm good at what I do, I validated it, I'm adding new skills on, like, I got options. Like,
Yeah.
and again, not to say you play the game this way, but it's like, what am I interested in today, and what will somebody pay me for it, right? So like,
No,
you
seriously.
always want in my mind, and what I got 3 boys. What I tell them is like, hey, keep investing in yourself. Similar to you, in the morning, I do the gym in the morning. I come home and I read, and I go back and forth between science fiction and business and history. But it's like just always trying to challenge the mind
Yeah.
a bit. And today's world, I highly recommend like listen to the Excellence Factories podcast. You don't got to read,
Very
listen to the
good. Very
podcast a couple times, listen to the next series, but just something to get you thinking.
Thinking.
It's imperative in the job market, but then I also think for health,
Yeah.
long term health
Long
as
term.
well.
So let me ask you, oh, again, I'm trying so hard to keep us on topic because still you said a lot there. So 14 years at Salesforce, 14 years of still skilling up. How do you tap into that initial exciting energy that you had year one? And how do you continue to just build that momentum? Because especially Gen Z and my peers, millennials, oftentimes they're like, hey, my leader is so and so age and he's just coasting and he's about to retire. You know, this person doesn't have a lot of energy. They're just sort of like, okay, I'm here, but retirement's almost here. How do you stay fresh? Like, what excites you? How do you stay fresh? How do you have that energy 14 years later to be like, while it's not year one, I still have the same amount of energy, ambition, grind, wanting to skill up as I did year one?
So I will say I guess it's the goalpost. It moves, right? So as an individual contributor, it was a lot on, hey, I want to know the most about this technology and I want to grow this part of the business, right? Like these are the account execs, these are my accounts I work with. So a little bit on that side. The people leadership side, it's a little different, right? And so it's a different.
It's a lot different.
It's a different driver for excitement. Still, again, I'm on the sales side, so still heavily focused on the success of the business. But as you mentioned too, now I'm hyper focused on can I hire the best and brightest that's out there? Can they come? I'm not going to put a timeline on it. Come spend time at Salesforce, knock it out of the park, find their next passion project, maybe back at a university, or maybe start their own business and go spread their wings in that space, right? Yeah. Like that's the exciting part for me.
Yeah.
And that's the driver. And again, I'm kind of separating it from just the day-to-day work part because like I'm still a solution engineer. I'm not talking to specific customers, but I'm trying to look at the requirements of the SE organization to achieve its highest level of impact financially for the customer as well as for the business as well as for the customers. And then I'm trying to create the right team structure, right? I'm trying to talk to the right individuals to move this boulder out of the way so it's smooth sailing. So it's new challenges every day.
Yeah.
And one thing I would say about the solution engineering role, individual contributor or leadership, and this crosses, I think, a lot of different roles. If you're looking for the mundane and doing the same routine every day, solution engineering is not it. It's not. And as much as as much as we kind of say, hey, all our customers are the same, and they say we fight back, and they're like, no, we're snowflakes. And we're like, no, you're not. You're Zach. They really are.
Yeah.
They're pieces that the fingerprints aren't the same.
Yeah.
So you always gotta be skilling up and learning. So for me right now, again, this stage in my life, career, it's more of kind of solving that bigger puzzle.
Yeah.
And then helping the individuals,
the people
that are part of the team grow.
So speaking of the individuals, and you talked a little, you've already sort of stepped into this about hiring, and this was really one of the main reasons that I wanted to have this conversation is the word high performing this, high performing that, create a high performing culture. Is there such thing as a high performer? Is it a personality trait? Is it skills? But as a VP, when you're looking for top talent or a high performer, what is the code word? What does high performer really mean from your view in the rooms you sit in?
So it is a personality trait. And I would say, so to even take it out of the corporate America, some of the rooms, I mean, we have, we'll call them associates. Everybody don't call them friends.
Yeah.
Associates or friends. You can look across your circle and be like, yo, that guy's not, or that person is knocking it out of the park. Yeah. Right? Like Like if I had to put somebody up there, that's probably a high performer.
Gotcha.
But I'm at the same token, it could be the quiet person in the corner, the friend that doesn't come out as much
Yep.
and you don't get to interact with, who's really knocking it out of the park. They're just not as loud.
Right.
So high performer, it's a code word. Like it's up for interpretation.
Yeah.
And it's really, I think, the value that a leader can bring a lot of times is helping to identify those high performers and ensure they're recognized as a high performer.
Yeah.
Just as you mentioned earlier, and again, I've come across them. I won't say if they're still at Salesforce or other organizations, whatever. Like you got people who are coasting.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't necessarily call them a high performer.
Right.
But you have those who do the core job requirements and some. And I kind of mentioned the challenger part a little earlier, the innovative piece.
Yeah.
Like those individuals are like, okay, I totally know what my day-to-day job is, but I'm going to try to make this day-to-day job better, not only for myself and my customer, but for the entire organization.
Everyone around me.
Team, company, whatever. So that's what I kind of look at a lot of times and kind of, if I have to classify it, view them as the high performers. I would say too, the goal is to have a team of high performers, right?
Yes.
Like that. Yes. That's all you don't go to say, oh, I want to go hire somebody who's like right. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking to identify the high performers. I would say there definitely is a definition and some code associated with it.
Yeah.
But it's up for interpretation.
I would agree. And it's funny coming back to higher ed. In higher ed, they don't really use a lot of the corporate lingo. And that's one thing that I just appreciated, though, about coming to corporate and starting a startup is that I just have a different view on what a business looks like, what a team should feel like. And oftentimes in higher ed, the favorite saying is culture eats strategy, but no one's invested in the culture. Like no one wants to focus on, well, how do we make this a place where everybody loves to work and can thrive? And really, I feel like a high performer is someone who gets shit done and adds value to every room they're in, any person they connect with. Like, how can I walk into this space and take this to the next level? How can I be 7 steps ahead of the game? Am I organized? And even if you're not organized, is there a perception that at least that I'm organized? And I think to your point, I know you always get on me about being the brand police, but when it does come to your career or you being a great, high performer, and what I tell my team all the time is like, hey, I don't know what all 100 of you all are doing. So unless you raise up the work and elevate and highlight the work that you're doing, I have no clue. And you're just assuming your director might be telling me in this 101. And it's like, they have a million other things. So I say all that to say, go ahead.
Yeah, I would. If I can kind of hop in there. I'm a prime example of that. Yeah. When I would say one of the areas when I look back on my career, and I had a manager tell me directly, and it was actually an exit interview. So figure out how this impacted it worked out, but how it impacted my trajectory at this organization, because I was like, hey, you do the good work, people will know. Like you don't got to broadcast it. You don't have to tell everyone. Just knock it out of the park. Do what you're supposed to do. It will be recognized. Long story short, individuals brought in, higher grade, higher level. I'm training them, helping them be successful, do all the good work. And I'm like, I'm not getting the promotion I want. Exit interview, I'm leaving, got the promotion I wanted, another organization. And my manager's like, why are you leaving? I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I wanted to be, at that point, it was senior for, 18 months. And I'm just like, it does not feel like I'm moving. And he was like, I didn't know. And I'm like, well,
right.
What do you mean you didn't know? I've been doing the work the whole time. But kind of to your point, I can't honestly say he knew the work, right? Like, again, he had a team larger than a handful where I needed some assistance to kind of up level or make him aware of the stuff that I was actually doing.
that you were doing. And that leads me, and again, I'm keeping us on track because,
Yeah.
we'll have a whole nother episode on this question that I'm about to ask you, but it leans into that space of, and again, we can geek out on this one in particular, but Salesforce has over 90,000 plus employees. In a company that large, how do you shine? How do you elevate your work in so much of the noise in a mega machine like that? Which a lot of people could be intimidated of, like, it's going to be impossible for me to ever grow here. But so I'm curious, quality over quantity, hearing your thoughts there.
Yeah. So I guess should have held out on my other comment earlier, but kind of to piggyback on first, I mean, I think first you got to make sure you're shining.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you're doing the work. Like that's, again, we kind of mentioned that.
What you're hired to do. And you told me that, and
yeah.
by the way, you told me that, again, we're not going to get into it today, but when I started HBCU 360, you said before you start, I need you to shine at the baseline of what you were brought here to do first.
Right. Right. And again, we can, maybe there's a part two, but that gives you the runway.
Yeah.
Right. To be great at other stuff. Because if you're missing the mark on the core responsibility of the role, it doesn't matter what else you're doing.
Right.
Because you're not doing the basics. Right.
Yep.
So first, make sure you're knocking the basics out of the park. Then, again, I kind of mentioned a little earlier, like look for those opportunities. What are those growth things? How is the business potentially evolving, and how can you be on the forefront to help the business evolve? And again, I'm kind of leaning into the AI stuff, right? Because a lot of people are trying to figure it out. So it's, hey, how can I lean into this new area that's an opportunity for everyone, and maybe take some ownership or show some drive or ability to kind of lead in this area. But again, I know you mentioned kind of the size of Salesforce, 90,000, 80,000, whatever the number actually is.
Yeah.
There's some common principles still across if it's an 80-person organization or an 8, right? Like it's, and we kind of touched on it a little earlier. Do people know what you're doing?
Right.
And is it driving impact? And again, like for me, I'm not the one that's necessarily going to tout and kind of be like, hey, let me send out, we use Slack. Let me send out this message to the entire org to tell them about this great presentation I did.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I have learned, and I try to advocate for my team, is like, do the great work, let your leader know, and get that ally or mentor or whatever, associate or exec, right? Like there are exec opportunities. Hey, you get on their radar, again, doing the core, the basics, and then you help them excel in the area. Like they'll tell your story all day for you, because that's, I mean, it's the power of, again, kind of the voice a bit.
Yeah.
I can share it with one person. Are they even the right person? But if I can have my team or the team around me or an exec or a leader, when I'm not in rooms, talk about the great stuff that's happening or that I'm doing. A little insider baseball too, like even for promotion, there are conversations that happen around like, hey, how is this individual performing? There are some rooms that I'm in and I'm like, okay, I got my 3-page write out. Let me go through. And I got to go through each line to kind of justify it. There are other ones with, and other peers or leaders in there like, oh yeah, I know that person. We can move on. Let's save some time. And it's like, hey, and again, it's more of the visibility, and it was shared with them. They had the opportunity to experience the impact that individual or individuals were making.
Yeah. So really, to your point, again, making sure you're telling your story, even if it feels cringy, but it's like, no, tell that story because people need to hear it. But another thing that I learned at Brown, going through the business value process as a customer, then coming to Salesforce and being under you and Baron's leadership. And one thing that you all have drilled in me that, again, has changed my framework in everything is connect it back to the money. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, connect it back to the business bottom line. Why is that important? And why does that disarm people when you are pitching something new that, just in general, when you're pitching something new, hearing how you connect it to the bottom line, I feel like disarms people and allows them to be more receptive to your idea.
Yeah, and if you're at a university, a nonprofit, private institution, that's what funds the initiatives.
Yeah.
So if there
The
are
mission with
things
no
that you're
margin.
looking to do, yeah, there are things you're looking to do, and again, and I kind of picked three different entities with on paper would be different initiatives, but a nonprofit can't do their work if they don't have the money coming in. So
Right.
again, like you tie it, and a for-profit organization, they're reporting to Wall Street and their board of directors. So they want to see that stock. They want to see the delta between revenue brought in and expenses, right? So you're spot on in that. Tie it back to what is the value for the business,
Yeah.
and of course for the customer, for the impact and all the other good stuff. But there is a commonality across all industry.
All of the things. So if you don't take anything away from anything that we just said,
Yeah.
connect it back to the money. So
Yeah.
now zooming out a little bit again, everyone thinks they have a perspective about what is needed to, again, build the career that you want. What do you feel is the biggest career myth that people hold on to that you're like, had I known this early on, I would have never done it, or it's not true? People told me this my whole life, but it's actually not true. But what is one career myth that you're like, this is not true?
One myth. It's easy. Identify it, and it will happen. I mean, and again, it's and I boil it down into that
Yeah.
because I think a lot. I talk to a number of individuals like, hey, tell me the certs I need.
Yep.
Tell me the certs I need to get this job, and I'm like, it's not that easy.
Right.
Like there's more to. Okay, I got it. Well, let me do the certs, and then I'll go. And in my world, I'll go learn this demo, and I'm like, still not that easy, right?
Right.
Like it, and it's again, I kind of go back. It's a journey. So there are phases to kind of grabbing or grasping the skills, and it could be first I need to learn the industry, right, and then I need to learn the technology that goes along with it. I might need to learn how to demo or identify the requirements and map that potentially to a solution. So I would just kind of say that it's a not, and again, I think this is the crux of your whole message. Like it's not a linear,
Yeah.
easy
It's not.
path. Like a lot of times it goes into talking to individuals, like reaching out, understanding that role. Because, and I've had conversations with folks that are like, oh, I'm really interested in SC role, and then I talk to them like, I don't think you're not really interested in an SC role. Like it's not
Right.
what you thought it was, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta do the research to really understand
What you want to do.
what it kind of takes. And again, I'd say too, it's like they're not. It's not a checkbox exercise. I guess maybe getting back and simplifying the myth part. It's not one of those. If I do these five things, then now I'm an SE and I'm the top candidate for it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of kind of nuances that go into it, and again, I kind of go back to just doing the research, connected with individuals who are doing the work. That's where the path becomes a little easier because they can kind of guide you through it.
And I think the no's come easier too. And I talk
Yeah,
about this in the book
yeah,
that even though I was going through all of these interviews, just meeting the people though
yeah,
was like, that was the benefit, I feel like, of the whole
right,
process. Even though the job was nice and all of that, all the people I just met, got to talk to, that challenged me, that to your point was like, nah, you ain't trying to do this right here. You think you want to do this right
yeah,
here, but
yeah,
you
right.
don't want to do that over there. You should probably do this. And it's funny because my colleague, mentor, brother Earl calls it random collisions. He's like, just
Mm,
randomly collide with somebody today
yeah.
and see what comes out of that. And that's kind of what you're saying.
Well, yeah, and if I could, truthfully, I would say that's potentially you'd have to verify how you landed with the SC role.
Yeah,
You weren't looking for an SC role.
I
You
wasn't.
connected with Jessica, who was aware of the role and was like, "Hey, looking at your skill set and from us talking, think about this. And that is one thing, I guess, kind of just plugging this in there wherever we want to put it. Like sharing with people your aspirations. And maybe
Yep.
that's a myth where it's like, hey, if I keep it to myself, no one will take it from me. Where a lot of times it's actually, if you share it, other doors might be opened up for you. You might be pointed in the right direction, right? So I think that's the other part that I'd kind of throw in there on, like, make your wishes known.
Yeah.
Like, what is that ideal role?
Yeah.
And surprise, and you know it, like you actually saw it too. Sometimes the role doesn't exist, but they'll
Right.
create it,
They will create it.
right? So it's like, but it never gets created if you don't share it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to add that piece.
No, I like that. So I'll end with my question. My last question to you is: there's someone who's at Hampton, the greatest HBCU of all time, at least according
Ever.
to Shea.
Easy.
And sorry to the other fellow HBCU haters that are listening right now, but so there's someone at Hampton that's starting a major. There's someone who's been in a career for 14 years. There's someone who wants to jump to another industry. For that person that has sort of boxed themselves in to a linear path, what is your advice to them as they are starting their journey of, I think I want to do something different, but I don't even know where to start, or I've never done this before?
Yep. I would start out with explore. So the first start is to have that thought. I'm like, maybe I want to do something different. And I think that's a great thing to always have, and to kind of do regular check-ins on, like, what are my skills actually align me to. And I would also, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little too. Kind of it's the passion
Yeah.
as well. Like, what are you excited about? And I think especially in where we are now with technology, industries are changing.
Fast.
There are new opportunities out there that, again, haven't been thought of, and they're new lanes or new roles. So it really is an open playing field and canvas. Kind of talked about it earlier too. Talk to people, do your research, like understand what the roles are, and not just the good parts about the role, right? Like, so ask the hard questions on how much will I be traveling realistically. I know the position says 35%. What's it really take? Oh, this is a greenfield area. You're really going to be on the road 75%, right? Like, so, ask the questions maybe that aren't listed on the job description or the pieces out there. And I would, I guess, kind of, again, use the connective technology we have out there. I won't say another tool, but it really makes the world even more flat.
Yeah.
The number of requests I get to, be a friend or connect in their network, whatever, like, and I'll be honest with you, some of them I look at them like, we don't even have any people in common. Like, why? Like, what's the driver? But to that person, I probably didn't hurt their feelings by not accepting it.
Yeah.
And there are some, and especially my folks from Hampton, I get those, and I'm like, yeah, no doubt. And they're like, hey, can we talk? I'm like, yeah, name the time, right? So use some of those platforms out there to expand your network. You don't have to go to the happy hour or the first Fridays all the time. I'm not saying personal connections are good, but use some of those other tools too to expand. Next thing you know, I have a friend now who's in Portugal. Like, it's literally like you never know where opportunities will take you, and the connections across the globe that are out there. So I would say, again, think about that pivot, use your network, create a network to learn more about it, and then use that to kind of either validate that it's a place you want to go, or alter your thing. Is like, yeah, that's really not what I thought it was.
What I want to do and adjust. Yeah. Well, Shea, thank you. I think this has been rich. And it's great to sort of, I know me and you always have these sort of philosophical conversations all the time, but I'm just excited you were able to be on the show. Cause again, as you said it a little bit throughout everything, but the goal of the Excellence Factory is inspiration, collaboration, and execution, right? And I think you have inspired us that, hey, you might have started out one way, but you can go another way. The collaboration piece, you have doubled down on go out and you have to do something, whether that's tell your story, go meet the person, go sign up for a platform and network. But lastly, to your point, and then it's the execution. It's okay, I've done step 1 and 2. Now let me show them what I can deliver to go to that next level. So again, thank you for sharing your story with us. We were excited to have you on the show, and I'll see you around.
Sounds good, my friend. Anytime. Thank you. Have
Thank
a great
you.
one.